So you're in the market for an Aventon electric bike, and you just don't know which of the many models to choose from. Well, in this video, we are gonna go through all of Aventon's current models, give you the pros and cons of each model. We're gonna do a couple comparisons between some of the similar models, such as the Aventure 3 and the Aventure M, as well as the Level 3 and the Pace 4. And while we're going through those reviews and all of the features and things like that that help Aventon bikes stand out in the market, I'm also gonna point out some of the reasons why you may wanna pick a certain model over another one. Hey everyone, I am JT from eBike Escape, and we have been reviewing e-bikes here for 5+ years. All of those years, Aventon has been in the e-bike market. We started with reviewing their Aventure model and then have really segued into, as you can see, reviewing all of the models. Now we have comprehensive reviews of every Aventon model on our channel, so if you find out that the information I'm giving you, maybe you just want a little bit more, be sure to click the playlist in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. That'll link you to the full playlist. Should be able to find the e-bike model on that list that you were looking for. Now, after you're done watching this video, if you decide, hey, that's the Aventon model for me, I'm gonna pick it up. If you do so after clicking the link down below or scanning the QR code on your screen now, those are both free and easy ways to show support to us here at eBike Escape. Another option for you, because I know we will get into, but Aventon is a omni-channel brand, meaning they are available in bike shops. If you do decide to go to a bike shop and purchase your bike, if you actually email ryan@ebikeescape.com your receipt, we can also get credit that way. Again, great way to support us here at eBike Escape. Thank you guys so much in advance for continuing to show support to us by clicking and using those links. Now, complete disclaimer before we get any further into this video, Aventon did sponsor this video so that we could show off their entire vast lineup of e-bikes. However, it's really something we would have done anyway because Aventon packs their bikes with features that we don't see from other manufacturers, as well as offers some other electric bike models that we don't see simply from one brand. And really, some of the models here behind us are ones that we ride every day. And one testament to that is that, heck, even Ryan's dad's daily electric bike is an Aventon Aventure. So who is Aventon e-bikes? Well, they are a brand that started back in 2012, 2013, making fixed gear non-electric bikes. And then at about 2018, they segued into making electric bikes. So they were really on the early end of making electric bikes. They have since evolved into an omni-channel brand, meaning they're available in a number of dealerships, as well as being available for purchase online. And what we here at eBike Escape have continued to know them for is really offering some really diverse models and packing them with features and components that we don't tend to see from other manufacturers. As well as including some very nice styling cues. They tend to have really nice paint jobs, smooth welds so the frames are very nicely integrated in, and in providing things such as blinkers and taillights that are nicely integrated into the frame. Now, some of those key features and components that we've just come to expect on Aventon models are gonna be things like hydraulic disc brakes, outfitted to all their models. They're gonna have some version of headlight, taillight, or running light that are nicely integrated into the frame. A color LCD display that's just packed with features and all kinds of customizability. Talk more about that in just a second. And most of all is gonna be sizing. Something we don't see from a lot of brands. They'll just offer a one-size-fits-most frame, whereas Aventon has gone into, on most of their models, including small, medium, larges, things like that. As I think we can all agree, we're all not built the same. Going back to talking about the customizability and adjustability that's built into the Aventon displays, on their Abound models, the LR and SR, the Aventure models, the Aventure 3 and Aventure M, as well as the Pace 4 and the Level 3, you have access to Aventon's ACU system. Now that is the Aventon control unit. That system is really gonna allow you to take full control of your bike. It gives you security features that we haven't seen, such as maybe locking wheels, locking kickstands. The battery is no longer keyed into the bike. You actually have an electronic solenoid for popping the battery in and out. Some other security features you get access to are things like geofencing, where you can put actual distance on how far the bike could ride. Now, there is a subscription fee associated with that ACU unit after the first year, but it's really pennies considering all of the in-depth security features you get for your bike. Now, one of the ways we have seen Aventon utilize their connectivity via the ACU unit is by providing over-the-air firmware updates and pushing things like ride tunability on all of the models I listed before, including a new feature they added called Boost Mode, which gives you access to 30 seconds of 120% power simply at the push of a button, really helping you crush some of those hills in your area. Now that pretty much gives you a good overview of the Aventon lineup as well as what is the same between them. Let's go ahead and dive into some of these models, starting with the lightest and most budget-friendly model. All right, here we have the Aventon Soltera 2.5. Now this is Aventon's lightest e-bike, tipping our scales at a mere 45.5 pounds. It's their most affordable bike at $11.99. Be sure to check the link in the description as bike prices do change as well as they do go on sale. And most notably too, the styling of this bike is very bike-esque. It doesn't look like an electric bike, meaning that this bike, because of its high top tube, is gonna be very fitted for somebody who's maybe just transitioning over from a regular bike, or somebody who doesn't mind pedaling and just wants to step over and get that little bit extra assist. The motor on the Aventon Soltera is a 350 watt motor, and you still get a 7-speed drivetrain, which different from other models, you get a twist grip shifter up here in the cockpit. And keeping with that city feel, you get some very nice 700C Kenda road tires. So this bike is gonna be best suited for urban environments, maybe just shooting around a city. It's very light, easy to manage. Now, some key considerations for anybody shopping for the Soltera. First one has to be that this is a top tube only bike, meaning it comes just outfitted like this with its geometry, but you can, like I said, adjust the frame size by getting either a small, medium, or the large like you see here, so you can really adjust it to fit you, the end rider. The motor is a bit on the smaller side, so you will still be pedaling up hills, but it is still gonna be assisting you up all of those hills. No inclusion of a front fork, meaning it's not gonna be the comfiest bike in their lineup. And even though you do have this really nice color LCD display and app connectivity, you do not get the full connectivity to the ACU system, meaning you don't get some of those security features. But the Soltera, for its urban feel and really easy to hop on and ride bike feel, makes it a great bike. All right, next up, let's jump into Aventon's folding e-bike offering in the Sinch 2.5. Now, this is the most recent e-bike in the Aventon lineup to get some kind of tech upgrades. They changed some of the technology. They went from the center-mounted display to this really nice small left-mounted display. Don't let the size of this thing fool you. It is packed with functionality and even has USB-C over here on the side. Now, the Aventon Sinch is offered at $17.99. Now, for that $17.99, you get a complete folding e-bike. What do I mean by that? You get light package we see on all Aventon models. You get metal fenders both front and rear, the inclusion of a rear rack, really nice frame design here with an integrated battery, as well as a suspension seat post. And you also get a little bit of a step up from the Soltera to an 8-speed drivetrain. The Sinch 2.5 has a 500 watt rear motor, which is peaking well into the 1000 watt category. Really gonna help you get up some of those hills. The battery on the Sinch is a 14 amp hour battery, which is gonna offer you quite a bit more range, especially thanks to that torque sensor. Aventon estimates the range on this bike to be somewhere in the 55-mile range. And one thing I realized that I forgot to say earlier, every model currently offered by Aventon is TÜV certified in accordance with UL standards. That's a very legal jargon way of saying that they all meet UL 2849 and all of the batteries meet UL 2271, meaning the bikes are all very safe to charge, very safe to ride, and most of all, very safe to store. Now, some of the key considerations for the Sinch model are gonna be, if you don't need a folding e-bike, this is probably not the one for you. There are much better commuter and riding options than the Sinch, but if you need that folding functionality, there's no match for the Sinch in the Aventon lineup. Next has to be the weight. The weight of the Sinch is a bit higher than we are gonna see on some of the other models. That's gonna be because of the reinforcements they have to put in because of the folding mechanisms. So now this is a complete e-bike, so it comes with everything you need, but just know that the weight is gonna be a bit higher. Now, next up, we're gonna be doing our first comparison among Aventon models. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pace and the level and decide between those, which is the ultimate commuter. All right, here we have two of the Aventon models that I think need to be compared in person, because when you look at them on the website, they really look like they're pretty much the same bike, but they do have differences. I know when they're parked here next to each other, you can probably kind of start to see some of those differences. A lot of it's in the geometry and frame design, but that doesn't tell the full story. So let's start out with what is the same between the two models. Starting with the motors, they both sport 500 watt motors. The batteries are both 36 volt, 20 amp hour batteries. They both have throttles, 8-speed drivetrains, suspension seat posts, come in multiple frame sizes, both regular and large. Both of these here are the large models, and have multiple color options with underneath those sets. They both have very road treaded tires and sport that Aventon light package, meaning they both have brake lights and blinkers. And the biggest similarity is they both have that ACU functionality. Now, that is about where the similarities between these bikes kind of stop. The Pace is a little bit of a more stripped down version than the Level. The Level is considered the complete commuter, whereas the Pace is considered the cruiser. That also has to do a little bit with some geometry differences between the two bikes. The price is another differentiator between the two bikes. The Pace is offered at $17.99, was on sale at time of filming for $16.99, and the Level is offered at $18.99. Now, some things you're saving by stepping down to the Pace is you're saving, number one, is gonna be weight. The Pace weighed 58 pounds, whereas the Level tipped our scales at about 67 pounds. Now, some of that weight saving can be contributed to the Pace not having a front fork, fenders, or a rear rack. Now, on the Pace as well, you do not get an adjustable stem like we see over here on the Level, but you do get these kind of BMX style handlebars, which allow you to adjust back and forth, so you can really attune and adjust the cockpit to fit what you would like. The displays are a little bit different. The Level sports that large center mounted display, whereas the Pace has the off to the left display. The Pace does have the newer USB-C display, whereas on the bottom of this other display, you pop it open, has a USB-A. Now, probably the other biggest differentiator between these two bikes is that the Level is offered in a high step and a step through like you see here, whereas the Pace is only offered in a step through variant like you see here. Again, multiple frame sizes between these two, but they only have the single frame option for the Pace. Now, you will notice a lot of the models that we have from Aventon here are the step-through variations, and that's gonna be because we think that step-through bikes are really the better option for most people, as the e-bike that you can get on and ride and will get on and ride is much better than the Garage Queen bike that you can't get on comfortably or really on and off comfortably. Now, the last and probably biggest consideration between these two models has to be the geometry. What do I mean by that? The Pace is listed as more of a cruiser, whereas the Level is listed as more of a commuter. What that really boils down to is that the Pace has more of an upright cruiser style feel, so you're a lot more relaxed back, maybe not on your wrists as much. It's a lot easier to get on and off, which is why they've leaned into only offering a step through, whereas the Level is definitely more of a commuter traditional bike frame geometry. So you're gonna be in more of kind of maybe a hunched over position, or just kind of more of a traditional bike geometry, a little bit more pressure on the wrist, but it feels a lot more natural if you're used to riding a bike, whereas the cruiser bike feels more like a beach cruiser, very relaxed, very easygoing. So it really kind of depends on what type of riding you're going to be doing if you're trying to pick between these two models. The Level definitely has a few more features and things that are included with it, whereas the Pace, you can always add those things, but the Pace is a little bit more stripped down and also saves that weight. That is a big one as well. If you're transporting a bike, maybe throwing it on the back of an RV, and you want to save those few extra pounds, the Pace with the removal of the battery can get really close to being under 50 pounds, which pretty much qualifies for all racks, whereas the Level will still be about 60 pounds even if you remove the battery. Now let's jump to probably my favorite e-bike that Aventon offers, and one I didn't see coming. All right, next up we have a bike that I was really surprised Aventon came out with, and that's gonna be because it's a very niche bike. It is the Aventon Ramblas. This is their electric mountain bike. Now this bike is very capable. I have ridden it up some very steep hills, down some very steep hills, and on just some very easy trails, and it is very capable and gets everything done that I need from an electric mountain bike. The Ramblas was Aventon's first use of their A100 mid-drive motor. Very quickly, anyone who's not familiar, a hub drive motor puts power through the rear wheel and goes straight to the ground, whereas a mid-drive motor, your power goes from your legs to the motor, amplified, and goes through the drivetrain. Best way to describe it's like a car with a transmission. It's utilizing its transmission to shift up and down, which you're controlling via the gears. The transmission on this bike is a SRAM NX 12-speed drivetrain, very familiar for anyone that comes from mountain bikes. Now that SRAM name carries into the brakes as well, as you get SRAM DB hydraulic disc brakes. And then down into the front fork, we have a very nice RockShox front suspension, helps soak up a lot of those bumps, keeping you planted to the ground. We have Maxxis Recon tires. If you get the small model, it comes in 27.5-inch diameter, whereas everything from the medium, large, and extra large comes with 29-inch wheels. And my favorite feature of really any bike, but specifically mountain bikes, something most people will be familiar with, it's gonna be this dropper post. Push this lever down, seat comes up, push it down again, and you can tuck it down out of the way, get a lot more room to move, so you can pedal in the up position and tuck it down when you're trying to party downhill. The display on the Ramblas is mounted right here next to the lower stem, and your buttons are located really nice over here, thumb operated right above the dropper post lever. Now, I don't think I gave that motor enough credit. It's listed on paper as a 250 watt, 100 newton meters of torque capable motor, and I have to say, I've ridden this bike up some steep hills, and that newton meters of torque has never let me down, never left me stranded. I've been able to get up some pretty steep stuff, very capable. I very rarely ride this bike all the way up into boost mode, does not need it. On paper as well, it says that this motor is peaking well into 750 watts. I think that might even be a little bit of an underestimation. I think it peaks much higher than that. Now, what are some key considerations for anybody shopping for a Ramblas? Number one has to be the elephant in the room, the price. The Ramblas, compared to the rest of Aventon's lineup, it is a premium price tag, and that's gonna be because it is a premium product. It is an electric mountain bike. When you compare the Ramblas to other electric mountain bikes out there on the market, it's actually pretty affordable, and it has some very nice features and functionalities built into it. But again, compared to your typical commuter bike or anything like that, it is quite a bit more expensive. The componentry you get on this bike is just a lot more robust and higher quality. Next consideration, because this is an electric mountain bike, it is a class 1 bike. Some mountain bike trails do not allow you to operate a bike with the throttle on mountain bike trails because that kind of crosses the line between a motorized vehicle, and they prefer people to be pedaling. So the lack of a throttle is definitely something you should be aware of if you're shopping this bike compared to other ones. And then next up has to be that front fork. It is a very nice RockShox hydraulic front fork, but I do wish that it was an air fork sometimes, so I just have that little bit of tunability and adjustability, something that I've grown accustomed to with riding my normal mountain bike. But this fork, even though it is non-adjustable, I haven't really found myself wanting to adjust it all the time, just on certain specialized terrains, maybe through a couple rock gardens. And then lastly, one other thing when you're comparing this to the other bikes in the Aventon lineup, this bike does have integrated rear tail lights, but it does not have anything other than those. All right, next up in the Aventon lineup, we have the Abound models. Now they come in two variations. You have the SR, short rear, or the LR, long rear. Biggest differentiator, do you need to carry one passenger and a little bit of cargo, or two passengers and a little bit more cargo? Outside of that, these bikes are virtually the same. They have the same adjustable stem here. You see this one on the right is a little bit higher than one on the left. You simply loosen these bolts, you can slide them up and down. They have the same BMX style handlebars for great cockpit adjustability. They both have suspension seat posts. Now the Abound also sports the small display with USB-C and has ACU connectivity, meaning that you can utilize those security features, geofencing, stuff like that. But on the Abound models, instead of the rear wheel locking like we've seen on some of the other models, the kickstand will actually lock up. So meaning when you try and get the bike off the kickstand, it'll be locked in place and you cannot get it off. And then to get the battery out of the bike, you actually have to go into the display and eject the battery to get it out, which sounds like maybe a bit of an inconvenience, but I promise you in practice, it actually works really slick because you no longer have to keep track of keys. You can simply start up your app or start up the display, click unlock battery, and the battery will pop right up and out. I thought it was gonna be a bit more of an inconvenience when I first saw that feature, but really it's a very cool feature. Like most cargo e-bikes, the Abounds do have a plethora of accessories that you can add and take on and off of them. You'll see over here on the rear of the LR, it has the kid area back here, the kid basket, which has dual handles over here, added safety, whereas on the SR over here, we have the single passenger seats. If you're gonna be carrying your family around, you wanna carry cargo, they obviously have racks and baskets that can bolt on there. On the front of the LR here, you will notice this big, nice, robust plate, which has a 55-pound capacity for hauling cargo. The biggest takeaway from either one of these bikes is that they are very well designed. The geometry of them feels really nice. And if you're gonna be hauling cargo, these are great options. Another consideration that doesn't specifically focus on the Abound models and really just focuses on maybe like a cargo bike or even a shared bike is that the cockpits and seat placement and stuff like that, it is not a completely toolless adjustment. So if you are gonna be sharing your bike because maybe your spouse takes the kids or carries cargo on Monday and Tuesday and then you carry them the rest of the week or something like that, there will need to be some adjustments that are made with a tool to really dial in that cockpit and maybe overall comfort. But when you're comparing a cargo bike to really any other bike in Aventon's lineup, The amount of cargo you can carry, kids you can carry, anything like that is just unmatched to the Abound models. And having those extra tech features built in and security capability built into your bike is just super cool. So maybe if you're riding this bike to a grocery store or something like that, you know you can lock your bike up outside, geo-fence it, lock that kickstand in place, and just run and do your errands and come back out, no longer needing to carry an extra bike lock. Although we always recommend you do multiple locks, as you know, seeing your bike get stolen can just be one of the saddest days out there. Now let's jump last and certainly not least to the last two Aventon Adventure models, between the Aventure 3 and the Aventure M. Now, until recently, it was only the Aventure 3 or Aventure 2, whichever one was out at the time, being offered. And more recently, they've gotten into having a premium version of the Aventure being offered with the Aventure M. Now, with that premium name, there comes a premium price tag. This is gonna be $28.99 for the Aventure M, whereas the Aventure 3 comes in at $19.99. Now, you do get quite a bit extra for that additional cost, but we will get to that here in just a minute. Let's talk about the similarities between the two models before we get into what the big differences between the models are. Starting up in the cockpit, we get very similar grips, handlebars, really the whole feel of the bikes are very similar. As you go down the frames, they're very similarly designed. Obviously, the Aventure M has to have some differences down around the pedals. The battery mounting place is very similar. The size of the batteries is very similar. You get a suspension seat post on both bikes. A little bit of different variation in the saddle design on top of that suspension seat post. But then when you get behind that, you get the same rack, same metal fenders, both front and rear. The tires are both 26 by 4-inch Innova tires on both bikes. The kickstands are the same. They both have the lighting packages built into the frame, although they do operate slightly different. The Aventure M only has taillights, whereas the Aventure 3 has brake lights, but they both have blinkers built into them. And then coming back up to the cockpits, we have the same app connectivity, colored LCD displays, and ACU connectivity between the two bikes, meaning that you get those nice rear wheel locking, geo-fencing, as well as just overall security features built right into the bikes, whether you're getting the Aventure 3 or the Aventure M. Now we'll jump into some of the differences between them. Starting up front, we have a little bit different design in the front fork. They appear to be mostly the same, but the fork on the Aventure M does feel a bit more cushy, as well as the way that the front wheel mounts is completely different. You have a through axle design in the front of the Aventure M, adds a little bit more strength, whereas you have bolt-ons, which are very common, very capable, but you just get a little bit extra strength from the Aventure M. And then if you come up to the cockpit, we have a look at the electronic shifting. It uses a Shimano Q's rear derailleur. It is a 10-speed drivetrain, and you have a simple button push for shifting. Very fun to play with, not something we see on a lot of bikes, let alone a lot of e-bikes out there. The shifter on the Aventure 3 is a very nice trigger shifter, rapid shift from Shimano. It is an 8-speed drivetrain. And then back up in the cockpit, we also have a slight difference in the brakes. We have Tetra hydraulic disc brakes on the Aventure 3, whereas we have SRAM DB4 brakes on the Aventure M. I feel like the SRAM brakes, being that they're 4-piston, as well as have a lot bigger of a bite patch, are a little bit better. I also have a bit more confidence, as I have definitely thrashed the brakes on the Ramblas, and they are very equivalent to what is located here on the Aventure M. Now let's talk about the biggest difference between the models is going to be in the motor. On the Aventure M, you get a mid-drive motor, whereas on the Aventure 3, you get Aventon's tried and true hub motor. That hub motor we have seen on a lot of models. I have ridden the Aventure 3 and I have absolutely no complaints about that motor. It is very capable for pretty much everything that the Aventure 3 is meant for. That is going to be very capable. Whereas if maybe you're looking for just a little bit more power, maybe you're going to be going for a bit more range, you're looking for maybe something to bridge between a mountain bike and a commuter bike, the Aventure M is a great bridge from that, and getting the upgrade to a mid-drive motor is just awesome. Mid-drive motors just, again, feel more natural. You're actually putting the power down. It's a lot easier to pedal. For somebody like myself, I feel like it's much easier to pedal and just kind of feel the bike out, whereas sometimes on a hub drive bike, I feel a bit disconnected from the motor. On a mid-drive bike, you just feel more connected, more planted. It just feels like you're putting in the power a little bit more efficiently. With that efficiency, you do get a bit more range out of the Aventure M versus the Aventure 3, but that's also going to depend on what terrain you're riding it in and what really conditions you're riding in and overall rider weight. And one other big key difference between these two models is the Aventure M is only available in this high step. It does have a few different color options than the Aventure 3. However, the Aventure 3 is available in the step through and high step design. So if you are somebody that needs a little bit of accessibility and needs to be able to step through your bike, the Aventure 3 is the only option for you in that case. Again, step-throughs, great bikes, just get out there and ride. That's all we're trying to promote here on the eBike Escape channel, is just people getting out and enjoying their e-bike.
So while both Aventure models are great, our recommendation between them comes down to just how confident you are as a rider. For those newer to e-bikes and not sure whether you prefer a hub drive or a mid-drive setup, we recommend you lean towards the Aventure 3. We see it very frequently that newer riders don't even shift gears, which is why the Aventure 3, with its included throttle and more approachable price point, ends up being our top pick for beginners.
And that pretty much rounds up Aventon's lineup. What e-bikes are you hoping they come out with next? What do you think that they missed? Me personally, hoping for a few more niche market bikes, maybe a gravel edition Soltera, or heck, just put that mid-drive motor and everything and make me pretty happy. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. While you're down there, if you do decide you want to purchase any of the Aventon models you've seen today, be sure to click that link down below, scan the QR code, or if you happen to go into a bike shop, make a purchase, remember to send that receipt over to Ryan@ebikeescape.com. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. Thanks for watching this video today. Ride safe, everyone, and I'll catch you all in the next one.